Good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our Soulful Sunday. May today be one of the most amazing Sundays because today we'll start a very beautiful book, which is Refuse to Choose, and a lot more learnings are going to come up. So let's start a morning with our programming, our Power of Dreams programming. Let's manifest our dream. Amazing. More power to our dreams, more power to us, and more power for us to create and choose what we desire in life. So, Refuse to Choose is a very beautiful book, and I wanted to introduce this book to you. It's written by Barbara Sher, and this is all about for all of us who love multiple things, but are not able to concentrate on that one thing that we really like, or to manage all of them and make our life into what it should be. So it is about using all of our interests, passions, hobbies to create the life and career of our dreams. Now, career can be made at any age. Metro in New York says designed to help you enjoy your many interests without feeling overwhelmed and unfocused. So let's turn the page. It's a revolutionary program for doing everything that you love. So isn't it going to be wonderful that all of us can really enjoy this book and do whatever? This book's first part is about what is a scanner. So a lot of us are scanning करते रहते life में. So are we one? We'll find out about that are we the ones who are scanners? And if we are scanners, and which kind of scanners we are. It's a very amazing book, so you can turn the page and you'll really have a great time understanding what can we do. This book has been written very deeply with a lot of people. So let's start this book. So if we say, are you a scanner? Firstly, what is a scanner? And are we one? So I can never stick to anything. Say, if you say these words, any of these lines, if they resonate with you, then that means you are a scanner. I know I should focus on one thing, but which one? I lose interest in things I thought would interest me forever. I keep going off on another tangent. I get bored as soon as I know how to do something. I can't stand to do anything twice. I keep changing my mind about what I want to do and end up doing nothing. I work at low paying jobs because there's nothing I'm willing to commit to. I won't choose a career path because it might be the wrong one. I think everyone's put on this earth to do something, everything but me. That is, I can't pay attention unless I'm doing many things at once. I pull away from what I'm doing because I'm afraid I'll miss something better. I'm too busy, but when I do find time, I can't remember what I wanted to do. I'll never be an expert in anything. I feel like I'm always in a survey class. So if you've ever said these things to yourself, either one or all, chances are good that you are a scanner, a very special kind of thinker. Thoughts are what make every human being, right? 86,400 thoughts, they say, come to us every single day. So thinkers we all are. But how much thinking, which kind of thinking is what makes us into who we are. So unlike those people who seem to find and be satisfied with one area of interest, You are genetically wired to be interested in many, many things. And that's exactly what you've been trying to do because your behavior is unfamiliar, even unsettling to the people around you. You've been taught that you are doing something wrong and you must try to change. But what you've been told is a mistake. You have been misdiagnosed. You're a different creature altogether. So there's no need to judge yourself because you're differently built, differently wired. What you've assumed is a disability to be overcome by sheer will is actually an exceptional gift. You are the owner of a remarkable, multi talented brain, which is all the time trying to do its work in a world that doesn't understand who you are and doesn't know why you should behave the way you do. And unless you know who you are, you're going to agree with them. Not only would that be unfair, inaccurate, it would prevent you from developing your gifts and making your contribution to the world. The stakes are very high. Identifying yourself as a scanner means changing the way you see yourself in the world. It starts with understanding that you should stop trying to fit into the accepted norm at once and begin leading about who you really are. To help you build the productive future you would design for, you need a set of instructions. That's what I've tried to create in this book. Welcome, welcome, welcome to a new way of looking at yourself. And congratulations. The jury is in. You're not a Delante, you're not shallow, and you have always been found innocent by virtue of mistaken identity. You are now free to stop being judged and live the life you wanted all along. So let's take a deep breath and start this magical book all over again for me and for all of you the first time. So let's turn the page, please. Prologue. Now, it's very important to read these prologues because it gives us a picture into what this book is all about, right? Or why this book happened. I should have realized, says Barbara, I wasn't a normal student my first week of college when I looked at the catalog of classes and tried to cry. I was sitting at a table with some high school friends from my hometown, also freshmen, in a dark bar on Telegraph Avenue, just outside of the famous Sather Gate, the entrance to the campus of the University of California at Berkeley. There were five of us, all 18-year-old, and trying to act very cool about the pitcher of beer we had legally bought that now sat on a table. Older students sat at the other tables looking sure of themselves, which we almost certainly did not. Everyone was intensely involved in the same activity, leafing through the pages of the schedule of classes, quickly trying to find the best ones so we could register before they filled up. Which were the best classes? The ones that started later in the day or had the most lenient teachers or were the same classes your friends were signing up for? They were big considerations. My four friends huddled next to me and pored over the schedule of classes, trying to coordinate our courses so we could help each other through the first semester on the new planet. Like everyone else who was accepted to the University of California, we were all reasonably smart, as I later discovered. My friends understood how to study something I had somehow never learned. For this reason, they had a very realistic idea of how many hours of work would be required for each class one signed up for, unlike me. They personally knew people who had been in college, sometimes older brothers or even parents, who had a good authority to tell them, to guide them, and to tell them about college was a little lot harder than high school. While my friend searched a schedule of classes, a small newsprint magazine that listed in the tiniest print when and where the hundreds of classes would be held. I was reading another book that, in larger print and a more leisurely pace, described the content of all the classes. In easy to read English, the book laid out the topics that would be discussed and the books that would be read. It was like nothing I'd ever seen or ever imagined before. I could feel my mouth drop open in surprise as I read one page after another. My friends were too busy talking to each other to notice at first. You can't take history on Tuesday at 10, ma'am, Mary Lee, one of them said. Because you have sociology at 10. Do you really have classes at 8 in the morning? Why didn't you take trig in high school? I told you it would be easier. Why do all of us have to be bonehead English anyways? Are we the only stupid ones here? Everyone laughed and turned to include me. But I was in another world without looking up from the book and started asking questions. What is close reading? I asked. What is that? This is about a close reading of Russian literature. What does that mean? Don't worry, you don't have to take that stuff. You're taking Bonehead English with Sarah, right? You want it on Tuesdays or Thursdays. Oh my God, I whispered in the pages wildly. They have the history of the Western music. Do they play the music or do they talk about it? How do you teach the history of music? Do you have to read music to take this? Oh, look, ancient trade routes of Central Asia. Look, the golden beaches of Samarkand. What is Samarkand? I want one of those beaches. Or are they talking about a painting? The geology of history, the geology of history? Listen, the Himalayas rose from the ancient sea of Tethys, so now, nearly 6 miles above sea level, they are fossilized seashells 20 million years old. I'm going to faint. Oh gosh. I had walked into the universe of learning. Nothing like this had ever happened to me before. Nothing prepared me for this catalog of class descriptions I'd ever read. I never read about novels, and no one had ever spoken about it to me. I couldn't catch my breath. Now that's the school of liberal arts for you. Chuckled someone older at a nearby table and returned to the table. Returned to his book, shaking his head in amusement. The school of liberal arts? I loved every word in that phrase, even though I wasn't sure what the whole thing meant. Many, many years later, in a used bookstore, I saw it mentioned again in some books I stumbled on about the rise of learning in the Middle Ages. I discovered that as Europe emerged from the Dark Ages, the children of the same barbarians who had conquered Rome and nearly destroyed literacy, many of them monks and soldiers, senators, and even emperors, were in love with learning, madly in love with learning. They ached to read the few books that existed, and they spent lifetime trying to piece together the lost masterpieces of Greece and Rome from fragments quoted in later works. I understood them. I was sure of it. If I had known how, I would have tried to become a monk so I too could reverentially copy manuscripts like they did, almost as a form of prayer. I decided then and there that I'd hand copy every book I loved from that day on. Fortunately, I forgot that goal. I made so many amazing discoveries after I started college that each resolution I made replaced the one I'd made the day before. I never did hand a copy of a book, though I love them all. But on the first day reading the catalog classes, I was moved by those words as any barbarian who ever ached to enter the medieval libraries. My friends were speaking to me, but it was very hard to pay attention. I raised my head and looked up to them, and tears were flowing down my cheeks. They were shocked and contrite. Oh, don't cry. What's the matter? I couldn't stop crying. I don't know, I sobbed. I'm so glad to be here. They looked bewildered. One friend put her arm around my shoulder. You're a very strange person, Barbara. You can't take any of these classes. You have to take the same beginning stuff we are taking. Now let's get down to business so you don't flunk out before you sign up. After much deliberation, each friend wrote in 5 or 6 classes. I signed up for 10. I flunked 5 of them and barely passed the others. College really was a lot harder than high school, and to be honest, I couldn't understand why they kept having exams at all. It was quite enough to simply discover that there were so many astonishing things to be learned about. I calmed down after a few years and learned the routine. But every once in a while, when a performer, a professor, would say something truly unexpected and illuminating, something I never in a million years could have figured out on my own, I would still sometimes get tears in my eyes because I was actually here in the unexpected universe where people loved learning just for itself. In a bookstore, months after the event in the Berkeley Bar, I found and purchased a small poster, a medieval woodcut of a man at the top of a small ladder that leaned against a tree under a very low curved ceiling like covering. He had stuck his head through a ragged hole in the ceiling and was looking with amazement at a night sky full of stars. I still had that poster. And I still audit classes in my college. I'm near wherever I can. In which subjects? It doesn't matter as long as the teacher is good, they're all interesting. So, what did I do with my fine college education? To what practical use did I put my learning in the years that followed? I did nothing. I just loved learning and wanted to keep on doing it. I didn't get a job with my education and never did anything practical with the other things I loved either. I didn't write about or teach what I had learned. I never earned a nickel from any of it. My family thought I was crazy, but I think they were proud of me anyways. I think I once felt a little guilty about that. I mean, I showed promise with some of my poetry, but I never did anything with it, as the phrase goes. Since then, I've come to believe that you don't always have to use things you love, and it's not always to be practical, so practical to be practical. Now that I've grown up, I realize that all the delicious dilettantism pay this way as much as any degree in medicine or engineering by making me remember every day. Whenever I pick up a book or watch the Science Channel or try to read a map of Asia for no particular reason, that life is amazing and there is no end to the wonder of it. I like to think that the registration office felt my admiration of learning was commendable. But after a few semesters, they did request that I choose a major and stop my attempts to attend every class in the catalog. You'll never graduate if you keep this up. They warned. Why on earth would anyone want to graduate? Just to go back to the world where nobody said anything? Couldn't figure out myself. I was perfectly happy to continue on forever, and my study skills were even improving a bit. My parents didn't complain much since I paid my own way. In those days, tuition was next to nothing. Rent was cheap. My 2 hour lunchtime job at a local hamburger shop paid me expenses easily. I stayed pleasantly plump on what the boss allowed us waitresses to eat and carry home in addition to our $1 an hour. It was a good arrangement all around. Finally, I picked a major. Well, I picked two. First, I picked math because it looked like the most amazingly gorgeous thing a person could possibly learn on this earth. But I found it incredibly hard to learn, and I simply couldn't locate a trace of the heavenly but unnameable stuff. I thought it wasn't somewhere. So I gave up and took up an easy major, anthropology, where I'd already gotten to some A's. And with some disappointment, I went for the grades and graduation thing like everyone else. Through the years, when friends or fellow students inquired why I was taking classes, I could never explain. I felt caught and a little ashamed. The prevailing attitude was that potential students like me were lazy or immature, wouldn't buckle down, wouldn't do the hard stuff required of some serious people. I understood by then that I was supposed to study in something I could ultimately put to use. But the thought of narrowing my focus and burying myself in one field of study was unspeakably depressing. I never seriously considered it. And when the 60s came and everyone relaxed a little, I got older and stopped explaining myself to anyone, and I audited classes to my heart's content. I also noticed that older students were showing up too. I guess the enjoyment of listening to those professors never stopped for them either. Fast forwards many years, and I had moved into a very different time in my life. I still have my books, and I still stuck into classes wherever I could. But now I was a single mom with kids to support, and I needed a career. Graduate school was out of question for many reasons, time and money amongst them. So I got the kind of work you could get with a BA in the late 60s, working in programs sponsored by City to help deal with poor people, drug addicts, ex-convicts, and I enjoyed it enormously. Eventually, I fashioned a career out of some natural ability I had with people, the experience I'd gotten from working in my parents' bar, and a lot of good fortune. I became a writer and what was later called a life coach. As a coach, I began to notice clients here and there who reminded me of myself as I was at first day of college. They loved too many different things to ever choose one. They never wanted to stop exploring, trying things out or learning, but they didn't direct their learning towards any goal. They were often bright, many were talented in a number of areas, and they loved to talk about whatever they were involved in at the moment. They were interesting, high energy, basically happy people. The only thing that bothered me was that in their life, they had the same problem I had in school. They found it impossible to choose a major. And that's when it all began to dawn on me. Not only did we behave differently from the most people, maybe we were actually designed differently. I started reading about famous people in history like Aristotle, Booth, Da Vinci, Ben Franklin, many people whose interests were all over the map. to see if I could find a clue to help me. As I looked through the books of their journals and letters, I noticed something odd. None of these people seemed to have the slightest problem about not sticking with one field. They flitted from one subject to another with complete freedom, and they never appeared to feel guilty if they left a project unfinished. Even if, like Leonardo, they'd been paid for it. None of them ever settled on one career for that matter, and they never seemed defensive or apologetic about it. How did they do that? Who gave them permission to go sticking to their noses in whatever interested them? The only answer I ever found was this. In their time, nobody seemed to think that there was anything wrong with doing everything under the sun. I found no evidence that anybody took Aristotle that it was bad to be interested in so many things. Franklin wasn't defensive because nobody told him he had anything to defend. Goethe wasn't guilty because writing novels and studying optics and doing everything else that took his fancy because nobody criticized him for it. It was a revelation. There were no ways to reproduce the times and places they lived in, but I thought it might be possible to create a loose community that could offer support and a sense of belonging. So I set about giving us a name, Scanners. Because instead of diving down the depths of an interest, we scanned the horizon for many interests. Then in 1994, I wrote at length about scanners in my book. I could do anything if I only knew what it was. And I waited for the book to come out, hoping it would make a difference. But I didn't expect what happened. As soon as the book was published, letters started pouring in. At first, there were hundreds of letters. 10 years later, their number grew to thousands, and they're still coming. Almost everything, a letter basically says the same thing. I'm a scanner. What a relief. I thought I had a disability, was trying to sabotage myself, was lazy, was shallow, lacked character, etc., etc., etc. The people who wrote to me were unbelievably grateful to hear themselves described in positive ways, usually for the first time. For years, they had struggled to understand why they were so different from everyone they knew. They had spent years of their lives bewildered, frustrated. Many had gone to therapists for to help but couldn't find the program they were given to choose one path and stick to it. They couldn't understand why they were unable to find the right careers. And they described the same patterns over and over again. Every interesting career they started soon became intolerably boring. Or they had never even tried one because they couldn't make up their mind in the first place. Scanners who weren't looking for careers had just as many problems because they had too many choices. Should they write, travel, make art, start home businesses? They didn't want to choose one area. They wanted them all. And they couldn't stick to anything long enough to finish it. All they knew was they just couldn't get it right. And as time passed, they became convinced that they were flawed in some way. But as soon as they saw themselves describing my book, the lights went on. Everything looked different. As one person wrote, I couldn't figure who I was. So I always thought I was doing something wrong. As soon as I read about scanners, I knew that wasn't true. Obviously, Barbara had struck a chord. She was getting the word out. The scanners were starting to wake up to the truth that there was nothing wrong with them. The realization that their behavior was different because they were actually genetically different explains so much that it was accepted the right way. It was a great start. But then what? How do you train to live like a scanner? What classes do you go to as a scanner? What degree do you take? What's a logical career path for a scanner? Where are the guidelines that will show you how to have a good life without having to change yourself? So, in a nutshell, all of us have talked right now about many of us who have a vested interest is ये भी पसंद है, ये भी पसंद है, ये भी पसंद है, ये भी पसंद है. हमको एक path पे नहीं चल पाते. We get bored out of it. So, and then we think we are wrong. People say lack of concentration. People have given us many, many, many names. If we are those people, we are called scanners. Nothing wrong with us. Genetically, we are built like that. Now, of course, there is no school for scanners, right? But let's understand Barbara's version. Where are the guidelines for scanners? Plain and simple. Unless they're hiding somewhere I haven't discovered yet, there aren't any. If you have a specialty, say geology or fashion, there's schools of majors called geology and fashion to teach you. There are guidance counselors to help you make quick decisions, and there's recruiters to hire you. The professional organizations and books and websites to help you develop into a successful geologist or designer or whatever kind of specialist you want to be. There's nothing like that for scanners. Now, if you're a scanner, you may have gone in some kind of ability testing only to find that you scored high in almost every category. Career counselors aren't trained to handle that outcome. So far, the best advice you've been given has probably been you can do anything, just choose one of your talents and get started. That is also the worst advice. They might as well have said, we can't help you at all because scanners can't choose. And now you're learning something most of your career guidance people do not know about. Scanners aren't supposed to choose. Until now, this has always left you completely on your own. You aren't guided or assisted in the business of handling your many clients. There is no academic path to train you in the best use of your irrepressible curiosity or to direct your fast mind into a multi-directional specialty. In business, no career tracks or job titles exist for the multi-talented, can do anything types, the go-to people types, even when they're valued by those around them, and have no label that indicates that who they really are. Our culture's pressure to train specialists simply isn't balanced out by any part to train generalists, that is, scanners. So, who are scanners? People who are generalists, people who are like, who like everything every time. It's like, I like everything, it's okay. But let's start somewhere. Barbara gathered up all the techniques she'd fashioned through the years to help her scanner clients and went looking for more. I started special discussions on the internet where scanners could share the experiences and give each other support. I started giving regular telephone conference calls where we could talk to each other on the phone and designed and ran workshops dedicated to scanners. I even did an hour-long public television special on the subject. More than anything, I wanted to share what I had learned with the people who needed it. I turned into someone with a mission, which was really my style. But with letters like this one, how could I think of stopping? This is a letter which a student has written to Barbara Sher. I have to tell you how excited I was to read the description of a scanner. That's exactly what I am, and now I'm working towards balancing my life in such a way that I can fully express myself. The permission to not seek after that one and one, only one profession and wander to all the things that I've loved is something I never gave myself. I have been trying to confront to the worldview that there is only true one path I was supposed to find at 18. But you communicated that permission very well, and it has taken a weight off my heart and allowed me to look at the things I love with a total different perspective, a different renewed energy, and most of all, a joy that has stifled by guilt for years. Thank you. Now I have a title for what I've previously viewed as a drawback. I'm looking at my life in a totally different way and not only forgiving myself for being a scanner, but loving it. I too struggled for years about not being able to be stable. Now I know I am a true scanner and I am the happiest when can be myself with all of the criticism. A whole outcome of life has changed. Thank you, Barbara, for your advice. So Barbara dedicated herself to bring together a handbook to help scanners overcome their obstacles and find ways to let their ideas flourish and use their many talents in the process of writing this book. I made it my business to find and meet as many scanners as I could, and now I met hundreds of them. They are magnificent. They love life, they're excited about new experiences, and they're the most interesting people you'll ever meet. They're also incredibly generous and have shared with me many tips and strategies they developed to solve the logistical problems of having dozens of interests. You might have developed some of your own. Now I know I have. Scanners are inventive and enjoy solving problems, but the main reason these people had to design solutions on their own was they did not know that there were other scanners existed. They had nowhere to turn to help. I think that's why the scanners are here, from our overflowing with stories and personal experiences. They've kept everything inside for a long time. They wrote about the wounds of being belittled and the frustration of being unable to satisfy the expectations of their families as well as the loneliness of not being understood and not understanding themselves. And they've also told of being curious, that their love for discovery, and their almost childlike delight of being engaged in a great project. I've included as many excerpts from their letters as I had room for, but I wish I could include them all because it inspire you, but even more because it's put a face on other scanners and provide you with some fascinating company. Wouldn't you like to read letters from Nepal or from Czechoslovakia of people doing multiple things or knitting miniature villages for their mom and playing between their own rock band after work, of course? Their words might be the first you've learned and heard from scanners. You might catch yourself exclaiming, they're just like me. I hope so, because familiar words are what scanners need to find their way home. In familiar territories, you can begin to celebrate your own identity and start living the full, rich life that you are capable of. This book is a personal homecoming for me too. It's a signpost that I have come full circle in my life. From the freshman who wept with joy at finding those amazing subjects in the college catalog so many years ago, to the senior who reads and writes and travels and as has a very fine time with dozens of interests. And maybe I did put one thing I learned in college to practical uses after all. I found out what it's like to learn everything and I have to know and have no one to show to. It's all right. In this book, I'm using that experience to understand and try to help you. Here's my best effort in an owner's manual for scanners. And let's enjoy because this book is going to open our mind. It's going to take us through a lot of place. As far as I can take, you've been undiscovered until now. It will be an honor to turn out to be the first to name you. So let's turn the page. So what you'll find here is a completely new program, the first of its kind. It's part one rehabilitation to undo the effects of years of misunderstandings and restore your battered self-esteem. It's another part training so that, like a pilot training, learning to fly a fast plane, you learn how to use unusual abilities you were born with. And since scanners have to pay the rent like everyone else, it's one more part career counseling, how to find the job that they won't bore you, but instead will support the life you want to live. So let's open our minds, roll up our sleeves, and let's get started. I can't wait to see what you'll do with your lovely brain of yours once the gates are thrown open and you're finally stretching yourself to full speed, exploring this big world that you love so much. So I don't know how many of you loved it. I loved the introduction. I read it again all over because it's so beautiful and many of us will resonate. So sir, thank you for this. Tomorrow we'll start with the part one, the actual book. This was just a prologue for all of us to know that हम बहुत कुछ करते हैं बहुत टाइम पे. We thought कि हम weird हैं. You know कि एक चीज को डॉटने का यहाँ भी इंटरेस्ट है, यहाँ भी है, यहाँ भी है, यहाँ भी लोग बोलते हैं हर जगह इंटरेस्टिंग है. तुमको what's wrong with you? You know, come to one point. But if I like everything every time, how do I come to one point, right? This book is about that. And I think a lot of you will find Revelations was very, very, very unique and very beautiful. I'm for sure a scanner and I'm proud to be one. Rahul, so let's have sun salutations before we go to the next segment. I'm glad a lot of you resonating with the book, finding interesting, looks amazing. Thank you. So let's start sun salutations.
The Surya Namaskar with mantras. Om Mitraye Namaha. Om Ravaye Namaha. Om Suryaye Namaha. Om Bhanave Namaha. Om Khagaye Namaha. Om Pushne Namaha. Om Hiranyagarbhaye Namaha. Om Marichaye Namaha. Om Adityaye Namaha. Om Savitre Namaha. Om Arkaye Namaha. Om Bhaskaraye Namaha. Salutations to the universal friend. Salutations to the resplendent sun. Salutations to the energy that induces activity within us. Salutations to the one who illumines. Salutations to the sun moving across the sky. Salutations to the giver of strength. Salutations to the golden cosmic self. Salutations to the Lord of the dawn. Salutations to the son of Aditi, the cosmic mother. Salutations to the benevolent mother. Salutations to the energy that we praise, and to the one who guides us to salvation. The sun salutation now with the names of the pastures, both in Sanskrit and English. Pranamasan, Hastuthanasan, Madhahastasan, left leg back, Ashvasanchalanasan, Parvatasan, and hold this position, and now slowly progressing into the deeper version of Parvatasan, Adho Mukh Svanasana. Ashtang Namaskar, Bhujangasana, Parvatasana. Left forward, Ashvasanchalanasan, Padahastasana, Hastuthanasan, Pranamasan. On the right side, prayer position, raised arms pose, hand to feet pose, right leg back, equestrian pose, mountain pose, hold mountain pose, and slowly moving into the deeper version of mountain, the downward facing dog. Salute with 8 limbs, cobra, press back to mountain, right forward equestrian pose, hand to feet pose, raised arms position, prayer pose. One round of the sun salutation with awareness on the breathing. So exhaling our hands to the chest, pranam. Inhaling as we bend back. We exhale as we fold forward. Left leg back, inhale as we're arching back. Exhale into the forward. Hold the breath for knees, chest, chin. Inhale as we arch back. Exhale into the forward. Left leg forward, inhale. This is a back bend. Exhale whenever we bend forward. Inhale as we bend back. Exhale, hands to the chest. And on the right, deep breathing. Exhale. A deep inhale. A long exhale. Right leg back with an inhale. And exhale. Hold the breath. Inhale and exhale. Right leg forward with a deep inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale.
All right. So today we decided that we'll start creative visualization part 4, because part 3 is about meditations, and I will make you do every meditation one day. One day we'll do one meditation. So we will not be reading those. And part 4, so we can have the part 4 slider first, and then we can move on to actually the chapter. So part 4 is beautiful. Why? Part 4 is kind of a conclusion also in a way of a book spanned over the next full week. It's got special techniques. So techniques are the reasons why we get help in making our life what we should make it, right? So part 4, let's just move on to part 4. It's page number 119. Yeah. So which part? Sorry, Akshay. Yes, I will keep in. So it'll be every day one chapter of meditation. And like yesterday, we did the energy point. So, I have been. So the meditations are so short, actually, that I will be intertwining with some meditation also. Today we are in part 4, special techniques, right? So part 3, I'm going to be covering every single day one meditation, along with something more, because it's too tiny to be just one. So let's turn the page, sir. So if you would learn the secret of right relationships, look only for the divine in people and things, and leave all the rest to God, says J. Allen Boone, in kinship with all life. So there's something that we're going to be working on. We're just going to start seeing the good in everyone. Yes, let's move further. Now, this book is something all of us have. In fact, we've got two parts of it. One is Abhivyakti, expression. You remember that blue book I'd given you? It's got a lady moving on to the, the plain book, the journal at Courier, the plain one. And you also have something like a dream journal. For the ones who've picked up a divinity set, it's the Vishnu. So a creative visualization notebook. It's a very good idea to start a notebook that can serve as your creative visualization workbook. Excuse me. I'm sorry. In this part of the book, I give you a number of written exercises and processes that you might want to do and keep in your notebook. You may want to write down affirmations that you hear or think of. You can refer to them when you're reading them or you need them. Can someone take up? Akshay, can you please take up? Because I think I'm in the... Yes, please. I have 1 minute to do it. Please take up.
There are many other creative ways to use your notebook, such as recording your dreams, goals, and fantasies, keeping a journal of your progress with creative visualization, writing down inspiring thoughts and ideas, or quotes from books and songs that are meaningful to you, drawing pictures or writing your own poems and songs that express your expanding awareness. I have a notebook in which I regularly work on my goals, affirmations, ideal scenes, and treasure maps, and I have found it a very valuable tool in the transformation of my life. Here are a few suggestions for starting your notebook.
Okay, so all of us have 5 journals, right? So one journal is where we write our blessings every single day, because that is the most important essence of life. Never to forget an attitude of gratitude, to always count our blessings, and that's the Mahesh version. Then we have the Vishnu version where we write our dreams and we write our affirmations. Now, very important for us to remember that in life, some things are a done deal. So if you like some affirmations, like in my house, if you come, especially in my vicinity, which is my room and my dressing room and my bathroom, there are affirmations all over. So that I never forget. So if I'm going to do consciously or subconsciously or unconsciously, I will just read them or register them. Now, they also, in 2 of your Abhipriti and Abhivyakti also have affirmations. So I have done this homework for you already, but it's always nicer that you resonate with some affirmations. You write them in your books or wherever you want. So even if you open Almira's, you will find affirmations here and there posted. Outside looks a little tacky, so inside is my heaven. So it's very important to write down your favorite affirmations. You can write them all on one page, or you might want to make a separate page for each with decorative borders and designs, so that each time you read through it, you have a beautiful experience as you pause and meditate on each one. And that's something even for my children, I've told them. They have affirmations in the pin-up boards, I made them only do it with nice borders. Today, I'll send a picture of Muskan, my older one, in her college. She's made an almirah. She's put her photographs and affirmations and, stuff. Now, affirmations are so powerful, so powerful. हमें मालूम ही नहीं पड़ता कि पढ़ के हमारे subconscious में वो घुस जाता है. Without knowing, we are getting reprogrammed every moment we read an affirmation. So the power of affirmations is intense. It's immense. Number 2 is very important also. So some of you will say, what is this? Let's understand. It's an outflow list. Make a list of all the ways that you can outflow your energy to the world and to the others around you, both generally and specifically. Include ways that you outflow money, time, love, affection, appreciation, physical energy, friendship, touching, your special talents and abilities. Add to the list anytime you think of new things. So for people like scanners, now we're reading Barbara Sher's scanning book, the book of refusing to choose. You realize a lot of us have multiple interests. A lot of us have things that, we want to give to the world or to each other or to ourselves. So outflow is मेरे अंदर से जो कुछ भी flow कर सकता है. If I have energy, okay, I give good vibes to people. So I just write that, okay, I'm a happy person and I radiate positive vibes. Now, when it's about money, okay, I earn a lot of money, I earn this much money and I give this much money, 10% for this empowering lives. Time, okay, I have time for myself, my family, my empowering time, my book reading time, my this time, my that time, whatever. Love and affection, that I become a channel of love. And whenever I go, wherever I go, I show my affection. Appreciation is something that I've learned now, that I have to only appreciate and not criticize, right? The power of words. We just write this outflow list so that we realize that, okay, this is what I am meant to do. It's like telling yourself, okay, this is my outflow. This is what I'm, friendship. So, people are saying, oh, the younger years, it's all about time to, work, 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 and not have time for friendship. I'm sorry, that's a misnomer. If you have good friendship, you are the one who can balance it out by saying, okay, no late nights. I need to come back in that this time. But who said friendship is coming in the way of your goals? In fact, it enhances your goals. So find time for that. Physical energy would mean, working out in a gym, or working out in maybe doing yoga, maybe just running, maybe doing whatever. What are your special talents? Okay, somebody will say I play in a tanpura, somebody will say, I play soccer, somebody would say I love horse riding, somebody would say golf. So just make a list of all of this. Whatever new things attract you. It doesn't have to be what you're doing only. It can also be your to-do talents which you want to really do. Remember, this is important for you to give an agreement. That's why they say think on paper. It makes it so powerful because you've inked it, whether with a lead pencil or whether with a pen. It doesn't matter. So that's what you're supposed to do with this. Just like an agreement with yourself, like a written down agreement. Number 3, the success list. Make a list of everything you feel you are successful at, or have been successful at, or have done successfully at home or sometime in your life. Anything. For example, you've been a good leader. You could have been a prefect in a school, or you could be a class monitor. You could have been a head boy, a head girl, or captain, or whatever. You could probably have led some organization. You could probably lead your own company. Probably you're a people's person. Maybe you're a mediator. Maybe when people are fighting, you're like, helping them come to the normal ways. Whatever you're good at, figure what is it that are you successful at, or you're successful at just being a channel of love because, you're really in there and everything is there about you. You will know what you're good at, right? Include things in all areas of your life, not just work. Write down everything that has meaning to you, even if it might not be meaningful to someone else. Remember, this is about us. It's not about people. हमें क्या पसंद है, हम वो लिख रहे हैं, right? इसमें add करना है, keep adding as to other things which whatever you can think of, कि इसमें I would like to be successful at. अभी नहीं हूँ, पर इसमें successful बनना चाहता हूँ. जो भी आप बनना चाहते हो. A purpose क्या है इस list का? The purpose of this list is to acknowledge to yourself and that, I am capable. I have these abilities. And it will give you energy. Okay, I can do so much more. मैंने ये भी किया है, मैं ये भी कर सकता हूँ. मेरी to-do list में है. दोनों को हम लिख रहे हैं. Number 4, appreciation list. And this is very, very amazing. Make a list of everything you can think of that you're especially thankful for, or that you especially appreciate having in your life. Making an eye to the list can really open up your heart and your awareness of the many riches we all have in our lives that we often take for granted. It increases your realization of prosperity, abundance on every level, and thus your ability to manifest. So जब हम appreciate करते हैं, हम इस एक world में आ जाते हैं जहाँ सिर्फ दिखता है, oh, this ये भी तो है, ये भी तो है. So count your blessings. क्या क्या है जो आप में खासियत है जो दूसरों में नहीं है, and forget दूसरों में नहीं है, आप में क्या क्या है. Keep adding, keep adding, keep adding, keep opening your heart. आज भी, कल भी, परसों, so that you realize कि how much you have and what all people don't even realize that being a parent is a blessing. Now ask people who lined up without children, who are waiting for IVFs or surrogacy or adoption. 3, 4 years if you wait to become parents. So people don't realize that, no, normally I tried my baby and I conceived. Such an important thing. I became a father, I became a mother. So find these things. Find a list of whatever can come up, smallest little things. Having a roof on your house, it may think, everyone we know has a roof. But there are a lot of people you know who don't have roof. You may not know the person A, B, C, D, E, but you see them on the street, you see them otherwise. Akshay, over to you.
Self-esteem list. Make a list of all the things you like about yourself, all your positive qualities. This is not an ego trip. The better you feel about yourself and the more you acknowledge your own wonderful qualities, the happier and more loving you will be. The more your creative energy will flow and the greater the contribution you will make to the world. Self-appreciation list. Write down all the ways you can think of to be good to yourself. Nice things that you can do for yourself. Simple indulgences that are just for your own pleasure and satisfaction. They can be small or large, but make some of them things you can easily do every day and then do them. This increases your sense of well-being and satisfaction in life, which in turn helps you to come from a clearer space in creating your life. Point number 7, healing and assistance list. Write down the names of any people you know who need healing or special support and assistance of any sort. Write down special affirmations for them. Every time you look through your notebook, you will be giving them a special boost of your energy. Point number 8, fantasies and creative ideas. Jot down any ideas, plans, or dreams for the future, or any creative ideas that can come to you, even if they seem far-fetched, or you're sure you'll never float or follow through on them. This will help to loosen you up and stimulate your imagination and your natural creative ability. You may find it difficult to take time out of your busy schedule to work in your notebook. Yet, if you take a few minutes a day or an hour or two every week or so, you will find that so much work is accomplished on the inner plane. It is often worth 100 times the amount of time and energy you would have spent on the outer plane.
So I would say to everyone, it's very important for us, so we are done with this book. It's very, very important to understand that why are we making these lists? In list ke baad, please have 1 or 2 pages always empty, because you're supposed to revisit this list. Now you decide when you want to revisit. Once a month, once a week. So, I do on a Sunday. My Sunday, I fixed 11 o'clock in the morning after my breakfast. Then 1 hour is gap time when everyone's taking a shower and doing the bit. That time I come and revisit the book. Okay, what is it that I like about myself? Self-esteem, self-respect. Where do I respect myself? Okay, what is it that I have to do in life? Okay, what am I good at? Find those things. So that, gradually you will realize after a couple of months, a couple of weeks, a couple of years, oh my God, ye bhi ho gaya, ye bhi ho gaya, ye bhi ho gaya, ye bhi ho gaya. It's an admission to yourself that, okay, I can do so much in life. I have done so much, and this is what I'm setting out to do. And always remember, it's nice to write date also. It's beautiful to look back and see, oh, wow, this is when I thought in this year, this month, and it's happened. So that is why today's exercise was about that. Creative visualization will help you create visually what you're wanting to look, and you're going to write that. So it'll become a visual for you to even go back and refer. It's very powerful tool, and I request everyone at Sunday here, please use the opportunity. Please make this list. And you have the journals. See which journal you want to work. You have so many of them. Just see the accountable one. So I have one where I keep going back and reflecting, the Brahma one. That's where all of my ideas and everything is there. So that's what is very important. Today, the chapter we're reading with Rod Judkins in The Art of Creative Thinking is Surprise Yourself. So it's a beautiful chapter and you'll love it, I think so. You may not realize it, but you have an interesting story to tell, a must-hear tale. We all do. A struggle against illness, family hardship, poverty, or a sudden breakthrough moment. Whether we are aware of it or not, our life is a subject matter. And freeing up our memories allows us to surprise ourselves and learn about our personalities and what makes us so unique. Everything is self-expression. We create our biographies in everything we do. सब agree करेंगे इस बात पे? हम सबकी लाइफ में ऐसा कुछ है जहाँ हम चैंपियंस बने. प्रॉब्लम्स आई हैं, बट फिर भी हम चैंपियन बने हैं. बीमारी आई है, फिर भी हम चैंपियन बने हैं. शायद गरीब दिन, खराब दिन देखे हो, फाइनेंशियल स्ट्रगल देखा हो, फिर भी हमें आहा मोमेंट्स आ चुके हैं. बिकॉज हम सब इतने क्रिएटिव हैं, इतने अमेजिंग हैं, और हम भूल चुके इस बात को, लेकिन हमने शायद एक्सप्रेस ही नहीं किया उस बात को. सो लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड. आर्टिस्ट फ्रीडा काहो made the most of the events in of her life. Her iconic status is due to her small autobiographical paintings. Technically poor and crude, they're fascinating because they tell a enthralling story. Her optimism and boundless enthusiasm were not affected by the tragic events of her life. At the age of 6, she was stricken with polio, which left her with a deformed foot and a limb. Later in life, she suffered serious injuries to her right leg and pelvis in a tragic accident and faced a lifelong battle against pain. During her convalescence, she painted her first self-portrait, the beginning of a lengthy series that mapped her emotional reactions to events in her life. Carlo's injuries meant she could not have children, and she documented her miscarriages in paintings. She met the artist Diego Rivera, and they embarked on a turbulent marriage. Carlo underwent many operations on her spine and crippled foot. At one point, threatened by gangrene, her right leg was amputated below the knee. A huge blow to someone so preoccupied with self-image. She learned to walk again with an artificial limb. All these events are chronicled in her paintings. She is her own subject matter. Although Carlo's later paintings became clumsy and chaotic due to the joint effects of pain, drugs, and drink, they were her finest work and the artistic reputation grew. It explained and documented her life. The paintings show that she decided not to be a victim. All the pain she suffered did not prevent her from having a love of life. Akshay, sorry.
Howard Schultz was best known as the CEO of Starbucks. His father struggled with a series of blue-collar jobs, never able to find meaning or satisfaction in his work. Then he was injured at work and had no health insurance or workers' compensation. It left a lasting impression on Schultz. It was not the calling of coffee, but the calling to try to build a company that my father never got a chance to work for, he said. He believed Starbucks was the first company in America to offer comprehensive health insurance and ownership in the form of stock options to all its employees. His negative experience proved to be positive for his company. Everyone needs to analyze and understand what makes them tick creatively, like taking a clock apart to discover how it works. Ask yourself, what is the best idea I've ever had? How did it come about? What was my worst idea? What was my first creative work? What is my creative ambition? Self-knowledge will help you to understand why you do things the way you do, how you function, what winds you up, what sets off your alarm bell. You will start to understand the story you are trying to tell.
How important. So all of us are creative. All of us are analytical. All of us understand life. Now, what is it that triggers us? What is it ticks us? What is it that our creativity can unleash on? What is my creative ambition? Ask yourself. Now, in my opinion, knowledge from outside is very, very, very great. We need it. We all the time need it, especially self-help books. But self-knowledge happens when we understand, when we analyze, when we question ourselves. Until we do that, we don't understand who are we. We are waiting for people to give their opinions. But what opinion do you have of yourself? Is it driven by people or is it your opinion? So understand your story, understand yourself, understand how you function. And when you ask a question to yourself, wait, reflect for 5 minutes, close your eyes, let the answers come, and then write them down. Who am I? Ask that today, probably on a Sunday, write a section, who am I? And then just go inward, wait for the answer, and see what's going to unfold. Federico Fellini says, all art is autobiographical. The pearl is the oyster's autobiography. So how wonderful. Thank you, Rahul, sir. So very important for us to understand that all of us are jewels. हमने अपनी कद्र खुद ही नहीं करी, right? या करी, लेकिन वो with like, you know, we're wearing tinted glasses. Time to take off those blinders, those glasses and try to see who we are. Very important to go. बहुत हो गया society में तुम ऐसे हो, तुम वैसे हो. सुन के हमने सोचा कि हम ऐसे हो गए, you know, या मैं ये नहीं कर सकता. उनकी limitations हमने अपनी limitations बना ली. It's very important for us to go beyond this. Time for a heart thought. Let's see the blessing. So if we start falling in love with ourselves, with our lives, we can do everything that we really want to create. So ये तो हमने कल किया था. Didn't you do this yesterday? Just tell me, everyone. Rahul Singh, but आप भी check करिए. I think we did that yesterday. I just want to check with somebody if we did it. No, so ye wala theek. This is fine. Loving world. Jitendra ji, yes, you can read for all of us. It's a loving world. Every time you meditate, every time you do a visualization for healing, every time you say something for healing the whole planet, you're connecting with people doing the same thing. You're connecting with like-minded people all over the planet. So today's affirmation is beautiful. I help create a world where it is safe to love each other. Yes, please.
It is a dream of mine to help create a world where it is safe for us to love each other, where we can be loved and accepted exactly as we are. It is something we all wanted when we were children, to be loved and accepted exactly as we were, not when we got taller or brighter or prettier or more like our cousin or sister or the neighbor across the way, but to be loved and accepted exactly as we were. We grow up and want the same, to be loved and accepted exactly as we are right here and right now. But we are not going to get it from other people unless we can give it to ourselves first. When we can love ourselves, it becomes easier for us to love other people. When we love ourselves, we don't hurt ourselves and we don't hurt other people. We let go of all prejudices and beliefs about one group or another not being good enough. When we realize how incredibly beautiful we all are, we have the answer to world peace, a world where it is safe for us to love each other.
Wow. So how wonderful. When there's oneness, when we are finding who we are, the world seems so beautiful. And let's start looking at the beauty in others. Even if there's a relationship that is a little scarred, don't like the person, start counting the good things about them and see them change their attitude towards you. So, all right, Akshay is a co-host, I believe. And thank you, Jitendra ji, for reading so well for all of us. And thank you, Akshay, for being my voice. And today, again, recording for all of us. Very, very, very important that we all go for this. So today we'll meditate and let's go deeper and let's try analyze who we are, how we are, and what is our functioning, how is our wiring. Today we are going to be meditating on creating our sanctuary along with a couple of things. All right, everyone. Let's take a deep breath in. Fill our lungs with love. Gently exhale, becoming the channels of love. Take another deep breath in. Fill yourselves with light, bright light. And as you exhale, let's become the channels of light. Let's take a third breath in. Fill ourselves with hope. Let's be hopeful. Let's exhale, sharing our hope for the world. Life is beautiful. Life is magical. Life is a teacher. In this beautiful life of ours, all of us need a sanctuary to go to. A go-to place, a comfortable place, where whenever we wish for good times or bad times, we can go. As we become creative, let's create a sanctuary within ourselves. A sanctuary which is our ideal place for relaxation, tranquility, safety, where we can create exactly whatever we want. Let's imagine ourselves in some emotional, natural environment. It can be any place that you like. A meadow, a mountaintop, in the forest, beside the sea, on the beach, wherever you want. It could be in the ocean for for all you care. It could be another planet. It doesn't have to be a place that you know of. It could be something that you like to do. You probably can imagine. Wherever it is, let's feel comfortable. Let's love it. Let's see the peace within us and be blissful and peaceful. Let's explore environment, noticing the visual detailing, the sounds, the smell. The smell of Mother Earth or the flowers or the rain, whatever. Try to smell. Any particular things that you can see, any impressions you can take. Now do something or anything that you would like to do to make this place more home-like, more comfortable. For example, you may want to build a house here, a small cozy house, a shelter, or perhaps you may just want to surround the whole area with golden light for protection and safety. And once you enter, it's just your heaven, nobody can enter. Maybe you want to rearrange something for your convenience, for your enjoyment. Maybe you like to do a ritual here to establish this as your special place. Something. Whatever comes to your mind, enjoy the moment of this beautiful place, your sanctuary that you are creating. Now tell this beautiful place, you are my go-to place. You are my most beautiful personal inner sanctuary, where I can return whenever I'm closing my eyes or desiring to be here. When I want to be comforted and to be safe, I can come to you. I know I will always find myself being healed and relaxed here. I know this place has a special power for me. Whenever I'm doubtful, I'll be in strength. Whenever I feel hopeless, I'll be full of hope here. When I feel down and low, I'll come here and become up and rising high. Whenever I feel claustrophobic, I come here and find freedom. You are my go-to place. You have special power. And you are what I have created. You may find that your inner sanctuary keeps changing spontaneously from time to time. So if you want to enjoy the seasons, the seasonal change or the change, it could be day right now, it could be night later, it could be spring right now, it could be autumn later, winter right now, summer later. So your special place has magical powers. Your special sanctuary changes according to your moods, but is always giving you that extra power. Remember, this place is our creative heaven. We can be as creative as we desire to be. We can have a lot of fun here. Let's remember to retain the special qualities of peacefulness, tranquility, and feeling of absolute safety. Let's tell ourselves that we are here for a purpose, And that purpose is to feel fresh, bright, amazing. Now, if there's any problem in your life, any worry, could be any kinds, physical, emotional, mental, bodily, intellectual, anything, any worry, any roadblocks. Just lie down in a sanctuary wherever you want, wherever you find it's comfortable. It could be in a green laden grass bed. It could be a beautiful bed, the softest of mattress ever you've seen, like as if you're sleeping on clouds. Or you could probably invite a cloud and sleep on the cloud and feel as cottony and light. Create that place wherever you want to lie down. Now you want to lie down on your back or your stomach or the baby pose of lying sideways. Just lie down. And loudly say the issue you're facing, whatever issue you have. And hear the answer from Mother Nature or within you. The answer is coming. Whether you're being guided internally or externally doesn't matter. What matters is the answer. Listen to the guidance and tell yourself, I have heard the answer or the guidance, and I must make sure to implement this as soon as possible. Because this is my internal world, my inner sanctuary, full of ideas, full of life, and full of healing my energy. Let's go deeper. And let's thank our inner sanctuary for being our go-to place. Now you can come back in your bodies where you're meditating, back to your room, wherever you're sitting, the chair or the floor, wherever you are. And now let's bow our heads in gratitude towards Mother Earth for giving us this beautiful humility, wisdom, passion, guidance, and for allowing us to create our little sanctuary. Let's look at a life level, at eye level, and thank our wonderful life for all the lessons, all the experiences, for enriching us, enlivening us, enlightening us. Let's look up at heavens above. Open your hands. Thank the universe for the unconditional support system, for making us believers in law of attraction, for giving us this beautiful blessing, for being in the right place at the right time, in the right circumstances with the divine guidance. Thank you to all the cosmic energy, to all the beings, for whatever they're doing for us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's fold our hands in gratitude. Be heartful, mindful of gratitude for whoever you wish. Let's drop our hands together. Feel the energy flow. Bless our face, our neck, our shoulders, front of our body, back of our body. And let's once again fold our hands. Thank our body for working on the optimal best, all the organs, to all the muscles, tissues, fibers, to all the bones and skin in us, to all the blood circulation system, to all the water, to all the energy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And dear Chi, Ki, energy, Pran, whatever you are in me, through me as a channel, let's bless each other. Let's bless humanity. Let's bless all sentient beings. Let's bless all beings in whichever world they are, to be full of love, light, abundance, and healed, and being whole. Let there be love, let there be light. Yanji, Ushaji, Manish, Ritu, Ruchi, Pratimaji, Bhavika, Manisha, Akshay, Vijayji, Jitendraji, Richa, Anita, Supriya, Ankur, Suendraji, Amakshi, Bharat, Rahul sir, Amrita ma'am, and to all our beautiful viewers. Lots of love, lots of light. Thank you, Akshay, for recording for everyone. Whoever's not coming, they also meditate on your meditation. So thank you so much. Okay, any questions? Any doubts? Today, there's a lot of work for all of you. Creative visualization will make you journal. So please refer the book. And this beautiful new book, Refuse to Choose, is going to make you understand who you are. So you'll not judge yourself anymore, that why am I interested in every single thing. So just use the Sunday to reflect on it so that you know who you are, why you are, the way you are. That's all. And about creative visualization, the art of creative thinking, we decided today that let's just reach out and ask ourselves a question, who am I? And then thereby we just go 10 minutes deep quietly and find who we are. Let's all become channels of love and light. And let's remember that it's time to empower ourselves, transform ourselves, and find the real pearl lying within us. Let's shine bright. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So thank you for making my morning magical. Thank you for being here. And let's see each other tomorrow morning at 5. Thank you, Manisha, for enjoying this wonderful journey. Thank you so much.